Welcome to Body Hack and Build a Better You, the podcast where we unlock the secret to living a longer, healthier life and create a bloom zone in our life and within our family. I'm your host, Michaela Morell, and I'm here to provide you with the tools and knowledge to empower you to build a better you, one essential building block at a time. In today's episode, I'm joined by Sandra, a strong and inspiring woman who spent over 20 years battling painful periods, hormonal chaos, postpartum depression, and body pain so intense she couldn't carry her own children up the stairs. From 10 months of non-stop bleeding due to copper spiral, to being told her pain was just hereditary, Sandra tried everything. Today she shares how testing her inflammation and shifting her lifestyle helped her ditch painkillers, balance her hormones, and finally feel free in her own body. If you ever felt dismissed, overwhelmed, or stuck in your symptoms, this episode is for you. Let's dive in. I want to remind you that this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Read the disclaimer in the show notes, and I want to remind you to always consult your healthcare provider if you plan to make any dietary changes. I am sitting here today with our beautiful Sandra. Sandra, she is a friend of mine that lives in Sweden. I actually got connected with her through Instagram a long time ago, and it was another girl that connected us, and we have become very, very good friends. And yeah, Sandra, I know that you are living in Sweden with your 3 kids, husband, and a horse, and you have a farm, kind of like a little, a small recreational farm. But Sandra, tell us a little bit about you. Where did you grow up in Sweden?
Yeah, so we recently moved back to Falköping, where I was born and raised. So I have been living here since I was 1 year old up till I was 18. And then I moved to Gothenburg and I was starting working at the coffee shop. We call it barista in Sweden. I don't know the similar word in English, coffee maker. And then I moved to Stockholm for a year and worked at a coffee shop over there. And yeah, it was a lot of partying going on in the early 20s. And then I moved back to Gothenburg and I was starting my family as 25 years old.
Okay, so 25 years old, that's still pretty young for people to start having kids. So I know that we're going to talk about your health journey today, and especially your menstruation pain, right?
Yes.
And I'm curious, had you started experience menstruation pains before you had kids, or did that come after?
No, it was actually quite early in my teenage years. So when I was like 13, 14, 15, I experienced a lot of pain during the periods. And the only explanation I got was from my mother that has been having the same struggle with menstrual pain. And it was just the only answer I got. It was that she had the same, so that was normal. And I got like heavy periods and the long periods and a lot of pain. So I had to take pain pills. And yeah, that was the only explanation I got. Like, yeah, she had the same, and that's why I got this heavy menstrual pain also. Yeah.
And, oh sorry, solen blev jättesvart helt plötsligt. Okay. Vänta, jag ska bara se. Okej. Nu blir det. Jag bara flyttade fram hela. Jag bara, den där solen kommer inte försvinna. Och jag har inga gardiner på fönstret heller. Jag bara,
Nej, för min engelska är jättekonstig. Jag hittar ju vissa ord, känner jag.
nej, men det lät bra. Vill du att vi ska ta om från frågan när dina menstruational cramps
Det kan vi
started?
göra.
Okay.
You can talk me and you tell me.
Okay.
Mm.
So, Sandra, I know that we're going to talk about your health journey and especially your menstruational cramps because that is something that you have been struggling with. But I'm curious to hear, when did your struggle start? Was that before or after you started having kids?
So I got really heavy menstrual pains as a teenager, and the only explanation I got from my mother was that she had the same and have got really bad pains. And that was the only explanation I got, but it was getting much, much worse after my firstborn when I was 25 then. And then it has just escalated from each kid. So I have 3 kids now, and for each pregnancy, the menstrual pains have got much worse. And yeah, I only got the answer from the healthcare and my mother that, yeah, she has the same. So that was the struggle I got. And it was nothing to do about it, more than take prevention pills or, injections or other things. And I didn't want to have that. So I think it was when I met my husband, it was in 2015. I got something called a copper spiral, and I got like really heavy bleeding from that. So I couldn't have that prevention. So I took it out and I told my husband that I can't have this heavy pains and this heavy bleeding. And I was bleeding for 10 months in a row.
Without any break?
Without any break. 10 months in a row with this copper spiral. And I said to the midwives that I couldn't have this prevention. So I took it out.
Yes, hold on. I feel like we need to pause here. I'm like, so you are a young girl trying to prevent getting kids too early.
Yeah.
Everyone is telling you that this is just the deck of cards you have been dealt in your life, that your mom is struggling with it, so you also have to struggle with it. There is nothing we can really do except for starting to mess with your hormones.
Yeah.
And if we're putting in contraception, then it might help you. So you try that, you put in the spiral.
Yeah, I tried the copper spiral, I tried the mini pills, I tried the prevention pills, I tried the injection you got in your butt. I think it calls like p-spruta in Sweden. I don't know if you got the same in the US, maybe that kind of prevention. And I got this ring you put in the vagina, and it was the only thing that was working.
The ring?
Yeah, the ring. That was the only thing that was actually working. So I have been testing all things, like everything you can test. And the ring was the only thing that was actually working with my hormones.
Okay.
But when I got my second kid, 2018, I got these heavy migraines after the birth. So then the midwife say I could not have this ring because it was a big chance for having a stroke when I got this. So I have no solution for prevention. So it was like you can use a condom or you can't have anything like.
So how was this migraine? Was it constantly? Was it just around your period? Did you have your period again after giving birth, or like?
Yeah, I got this heavy bleeding and heavy periods and got a lot of migraines. I don't know if
Directly after birth?
Yeah, directly after birth. And I think it was of this epidural that caused me these migraines because I got them before.
And you did not have an epidural with your first child?
Yes, I have, but I have not experienced this with migraines. So I think something went wrong when I got my second born. Okay. And after this epidural, I got these heavy migraines also and the heavy bleeding. and I also got a very hard PMS. And it was, I think, even PMDS because I was really depressed. I got the delivery postpartum depression.
Okay.
Yeah. So after my second born. So that was about a year. I got these struggles about the postpartum depression and PMS, and my hormones were just all over the place, and the heavy bleeding, and the midwife say I could not take this prevention ring.
Yeah, you had a bigger chance of having a stroke since you were combining the ring with the headaches.
With the migraines, so I couldn't use it. So I was like, I don't want more kids because I got so scared of this postpartum depression and the PMS and yeah. So the first year after my second one was born was total chaos with my hormone.
Yeah.
Well, then I told my husband, I don't want any prevention because my hormones are so messed up. So I need to like balance them and come to a better solution.
Mm-hmm.
It was long after when I met you and when I started the health protocol. So it was, yeah, my third one was born in 2021.
So when was all of your kids born? You had your first one
2012,
2012, and then you have your second one in
2018,
18, and then you have your third one in 2021.
Yeah.
Okay. Just to get a little bit perspective of how long time you're struggling with menstruational cramps, with migraines, with PMS, and so on.
Yeah.
Because right now, people might just be listening and may not see your beautiful face. But how old is your oldest kid now?
He's 12.
12. Okay.
Yeah.
And all of these menstruational cramps started way before he was born.
Yeah.
And down in your teenager years. So you have been struggling with these probably for around 20 years?
Yeah.
When you met me?
Yeah.
And I'm curious too, if you're open to share it, like what age did your menstruation start and when did your cramping start?
So I got my period quite late because I'm pretty long and thin. So I was not so much awake. And I also got an eating disorder when I was like 13, 14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So my period started very late. I think I was about 13 when my period started, and it got much worse maybe when I was like 14, 15. And it just has escalated then since my kids has been born. Worse for each pregnancy, definitely.
Yeah. And I want to go back a little bit too, because we were talking about like now you have 3 kids, you can't use any prevention, you don't really want to have more kids. So there is not a lot of different options then for contraception when we are struggling with hormonal imbalances and reading the labels of different contraceptions too. We can often see side effects that are pretty scary. And a lot of women are not really educated about these. They're sold that it will prevent you to get kids. So, of course, women that wants to go to university, that wants to have a future career, they are very easily sold in to just using a pill or putting something in that will interfere with not becoming pregnant, that will stop that, hopefully. But there is more and more people starting to speak up over how when they started implementing a new contraception, how that completely turned their health around, like in a negative direction. And I believe it's important to have a conversation regarding this too. I just want to make that as a side note for people that are listening, because you might have a child, a daughter, a friend, or a wife that are struggling with their health, and you do not really know what's behind it. And starting to research, you might want to research the side effects of the contraception that you are using. So, Sandra, somehow we get in contact. The universe works in mysterious ways. And you started sharing a little bit of your journey and what you had been struggling with. And we started making a new health regime for you that included, of course, we did take the test. You were having lots of pro-inflammatory building blocks versus anti-inflammatory building blocks. Do you remember your ratio?
Yeah, it was 17-1.
17-1. So that was almost
Yeah,
twice as bad as I was.
I
So
think
I can totally understand that you struggled with your health.
yeah, it's 2 years this spring since I took the first test.
Mm.
My health got very much improved since I did these changes in my diet and with the supplements I was taking. So I have been on supplements for almost whole my adult life, and it didn't work.
Tell me a
So
little bit about what you were doing before I met you, because I remember when I first met you, I was so impressed that you had actually done research, you were actually implementing supplementations in your life. What were you doing before you met me?
yeah, so I have always liked training a lot and running and power walking and training at the gym, like heavy weights lifting, going to the treadmill and everything. And I was taking these supplements. I was taking omega-3s. I was taking magnesium. I was taking MSM. I was taking spirulina. I was taking everything. And I thought I did everything right. But as a fact, when I was testing my balance between the ratio omega-3 and omega-6, I got these test results that was actually making me questioning what I have been doing for these whole years, because it was have not been working for me. And I was taking the wrong supplements. I was taking the cheap ones you get at the drugstore or at the grocery store, and it was not working. And I also even taking a little bit more expensive supplements. I was not feeling the function, and I was struggling with depression. I was struggling with anxiety. What's the
Anxiety.
Anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was struggling with my mental health. So I had to make a quite big change in my life to improve my health for my kids, of course, because I wanted to be a strong mother, not just physically strong, but also mentally strong. So that was the major shift in my life, that I was like, I need to do something because I need to be a good mother for them. And the best thing I was doing was to invest in my health and taking these tests and make a plan and follow the plan. And that was the major shift in my life, life's changing, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing that. And I'm curious because I see a lot of people that are using a lot of supplementations.
Yeah.
And when we start shifting the kinds you're using out to something that I really have seen is doing a big effect in people's health, I'm curious, are you spending any more money on supplementations today on average than you did before?
No, I don't think so, because I got less supplements now than before, but they are working. So I got, less supplementation, but at the same cost maybe. But no, I don't spend more money, I think, on the supplementation now.
Yeah, because you were using so many before. So even if they
I
might
think
have
I
been
would actually
more
use too
affordable
many.
one by one, the total
Yeah.
cost is about the same or yeah.
I think I was making it harder than it was. So I was using more supplementation than I actually really needed. And I think that made like a toxic cocktail inside of me also. So I don't think it was quite good to take everything. You need to make it easier and see exactly what is it you got deficiency on,
Yeah,
and not just take everything on the market.
exactly. And when we're talking about different qualities too, some stuff is already rancid before you take it and it can cause you more inflammation. So Sandra, the whole reason why we're doing this podcast today is to inspire people to maybe take a little bit more charge of their own health, become your own advocate, and that it's totally not normal to have all of the menstruation pains and hormonal issues that women are just told that you just have to suck it up. It's a part of being a woman. Like, it's not true. We can take more charge over our own health than people are allowing us to think. So I know, for example, so you met me. How did your health start changing, first of all? Did you start seeing changes?
I got very many doctor appointments because I have so much pain in my body.
And where was this pain? Everywhere or?
Well, it was mostly in my knees, in my back, and in my hip. And yeah, problem with the sleeping and the night sweats. And, I have to make new sweater on the nights and make the bed for new sheets because I was sweating like so much.
And you're young, you're not going through menopause, and
Yeah,
you're struggling
so
with all of
weird.
these night sweats.
Yeah, this was when I was like 35 when I met you, I think. Yeah, because I'm 37 now. So I was struggling with, I think I have 33 different symptoms. And the doctors couldn't find the answer why I was feeling this bad. And they think I got MS, and they think I got fibromyalgia, and I got these heavy pains in my back and in my hip and in my knees. I couldn't lift my kids from the sofa downstairs to the upper stairs when they got to sleep. So my husband had to pick them up and put them to their beds because I couldn't carry them. And I got so much pain in my body, and I was like living in my bathtub. I was sitting in my bathtub and putting this hot water all over my body because this was the only thing to cure the pain because I had so much pain in my body. And I took a lot of tests and also vitamin D to see the deficiency. I got a little bit low, but I also got hypothyroidism, and that explains a lot of my symptoms as well. I think maybe also with the toxic lifestyle, a lot of partying, I was smoking, I was not eating the right things, and I was also training very, very hard. So it was like I was doing everything wrong and also tried to compensate it with the training and the supplements, which was not working. So I think I had like my big breakthrough and my big awakening about maybe 5 years ago when I was starting to make a change in my diet and the supplementation and everything. I was starting to...
And your lifestyle, maybe?
And my lifestyle. So yeah, it was very much, I got improved in my health, but I still struggled. And I think also the pregnancy, postpartum depression and everything, that was not making it easier. So I think this hormonal struggles with the pregnancies and the menstrual pain and the PMS and the depression. And yeah, it was like a heavy overload for my body.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And that's usually what I'm seeing with people is like, if people are more prone to have menstruational cramps and PMS at younger age, they often start having more severe symptoms of the body not functioning at a younger age. So I usually see that clearly, that people that are struggling with more severe stuff like autoimmune diseases, like body aches and pains at a young age, they usually had menstruational cramps already when they were a teenager.
Yeah.
Because a symptom is just a cry from the body. It's not able to function like it's supposed to. And if we keep on ignoring it and keep on telling ourselves it's normal, it's just the way life is, instead of trying to find a root cause to it, that will spiral out and it will become worse and worse and worse. But okay, but you have now done a lot of different changes to your health routine, to your lifestyle. And how have your health been now for the past 2 years after you met me?
Oh, wow. It's such a change. All the hormonal imbalances and everything has got much more improved. So I'm feeling much more happier, and my body feels more like it's working the way it is. The pains are gone. So I have not had almost any pains these last 2 years.
How many painkillers have you been eating the last 2 years? if you're
Oh,
talking about body pain. I know you
yeah,
have also had an accident with your head that had
yeah,
nothing to
yeah.
do with it. That was just a freak accident. But like for
That's
your
a
body
different
pain,
podcast.
have you taken
Yeah,
any pain medication for that?
I have not taken any pain pills the last 2 years.
Prior to this, how often did you need painkillers to deal with the pain you were struggling
Oh,
with in your body?
the first 4 days of my period, I had to take pain pills
Every time you had a period.
every day.
And
Almost, yeah, about 3 times a day.
okay, so you used to take painkillers
Yeah,
3 times a day for
yeah.
4 days every time you had your menstruation coming in
Since I was like 15.
since you were 15. And for the
Yeah.
past 2 years, you have not needed to take any painkillers due to your menstruational cramps.
Yeah.
And now I'm curious to hear because Sandra called me and she said, Michaela, I had forgotten all about it, but now my body just reminded me on how I used to live my life. So what happened was that Sandra had to go through surgery.
Yeah.
And when she's doing a surgery, of course, the doctors are telling her to not use any omega-3 for the 2 weeks prior and like a few weeks after
Yeah.
as well. But I'm curious, Sandra, was it only the omega-3 you cut out, or did you have to cut all supplementation?
No, I have to cut all supplementation out
Yeah.
because they also told me that you couldn't take magnesium. And I was wondering why, because they said it was also thinning the blood.
Okay. So
The
she was
magne-
not allowed to take any of her supplementations. So what happened, Sandra, when you hadn't been taking the supplementations? You went in, you did the surgery, and
Yeah.
then you came back home. What happened?
Yeah, so a few days after the surgery, I got my period, and it was so much pain. I have forgot because I had this pain that was like, vad säger man, strålar ut.
It's shooting down in
It's
her
shooting down.
legs,
Yeah,
and
exactly. And I was like, I couldn't stand on my legs, so I had to lay down and like starting to massage my legs because I had so much pain, and like my knees were shaking. So I didn't remember that I got these pains for so many years, and they just told me it was normal. And the only solution was to give me hormonal prevention, like hormone spirals.
Yeah.
That was the only thing you can use. They told me, the midwives. And
so
yeah,
I am laughing. Like
yeah,
it's so funny because I see myself as well when I struggle with so much pain. And then when my pain was gone I mean, it's been gone now for 5 years, I started like thinking, did I really have that much pain? Like, how was it really? Because you kind of forget how painful pain is until you have it. So Sandra like calls me back and she's like, I've forgotten how hard it was to live my life before. Because the pain she's experiencing, it is really shooting down her legs to the extent that she can't stand up. She needs to lay down.
Yeah, I had to take the pain meds because I couldn't stand up. And I was like, should take the kids to school and preschool. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know how to do this. So I had to lay down and starting massaging my legs and go for the pain meds. And I was like feeling nauseous and feeling like I was going to faint. And I was like, oh my God, I just need to take the kids to school and preschool. And, yeah, I didn't remember that this was my regular time with periods like for so many years. And yeah, you can do anything about it more than taking this hormonal prevention. And I didn't want them because it messed up whole my body and my health overall. So yeah, it was like shocking how it felt before. Yeah. So
But
yeah.
Sandra, aren't you happy now that like you were able to go right back to your supplementation regime? And aren't you
Yeah,
happy
so
to
I
know
have
that there
started.
is a solution for your pain? You do not have to live with this every single month for the rest of your life.
Yeah. So now I have started to take my magnesium again and the omega-3s and feeling like my body is starting to feel like itself again, the way it should be feeling, because all these menstrual pains also got this connection with the inflammation. So that's a big thing we should take up, I think, because if you got very much inflammation in the body, then you also got these heavy periods and heavy pains, because I don't have that now. Maybe I have like heavy bleeding the first 2 days, and then it's starting to get much, much better day 3 and day 4. And maybe I don't even bleed on day 5. And before I was like 7 days bleeding, and now I have like almost 5 days or 4 days, and I have a cycle on 28 days like it should be. So I know when I got the ovulation. I know when I got my period. I can almost tell it by the clock, because it's so regular on 28 days cycle. And so I know my body without all this hormonal prevention. So I don't need to use them. And I know when it's a safe period to have sex, and I know when it's we need to use protection.
Yeah.
And then you can do it on other ways. You don't need all this hormonal prevention that fucks up your hormones. Actually, you can track your cycle, and you can, if you struggle with inflammation, get to the root cause, and you will see a much more improvement in your health. I'm sure for that.
Yeah, and thank you so much for that, Sandra. And I also want to just remind people here that, yes, inflammation can cause you to bleed too much. But I also want to tell you that inflammation can also cause you to not bleed at all. So if you're struggling with having too long cycles or never having a period, it can also be that root cause. So we never know, of course, how the body will respond. But what we do know is that a healthy body begins with a healthy cell.
Yeah.
And the body can do magical things if we allow it to, by giving it the right circumstances. And thank you so much, Sandra, for coming on to this podcast, because we are here to inspire people that just because you're in pain today doesn't mean that you need to be in pain forever. We can take control and create a little bit better circumstances for our body to function the way it's intended to. So thank you, Sandra, for being here.
Well, thank you for letting me attend your podcast. It was a great honor.
So if you guys are inspired by Sandra, please go out and share it with someone that you know is struggling with menstruational pain, or struggling a little bit more with postpartum depression after having kids, or just achy joints and an achy body too. And if they want to connect with Sandra, how do they find you on Instagram?
Yeah, so I got an Instagram account called Sandras Lantliv.
That's in Swedish, but I will link her Instagram account below. So if you want to connect with her directly, feel free to reach out to her.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sandra.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Hey guys, if you enjoyed today's episode, I encourage you to do one thing for me. Think of one person you want to share this podcast with, and copy the link and send it right away. Thanks for playing an important role in the Blue Zone community. And if you want to keep on building a better you, one essential building block at a time, hit that subscribe button. See you in the next episode.